Okay, here's how we're going to mix our tints and shades of red, white, and blue. First of all, just a quick little introduction to the materials you'll be using. Of course, you'll have a cup of water and a brush to clean out and to paint with. You'll have your paint palette. Notice that you've got black, white, red, and blue, and in these two wells in the middle you don't have any paint yet. That's where you're going to mix your different colors. So try to keep those as empty and clean as you possibly can, and try not to get the colors mixed in over here. The purer you can keep these colors of red, blue, black, and white, the more colors you're going to be able to get, instead of everything just turning into one big gray blob. You'll also have a paper towel. And this time, unlike the watercolor painting we did, this time we want to make sure that we get all of the water out of our brush to ensure that our papers don't get too sloppy. Okay? So let's start out. Let me move out some space here. Let's start out by mixing some of our colors. As you've just learned, a tint of a color means a lighter version of that color, and a shade is a darker version. So let's start out with our tint. Let's start with a tint of red. Anytime you're making a tint, a lighter color, you want to use a lot of white. See how much white I've got on my brush? And you just kind of want to dab it off right here in your empty well. And then you want to pick up just a little bit of red. See how about I just coated just the corner with my red? And then I'll mix that together in my empty well. And as you can see, when you mix red and white together and create a tint of red, what you actually end up with is a nice light pink. And if that's too light and you want it to be even darker, then you can just continue to add more and more red to it. And it'll still be kind of a pink shade, but this time it'll be a darker pink shade. Or tint, I guess, because we're mixing white with it. Okay, so here you can see that I've got two different tints of red because I've mixed red and white to get two different tints or lighter versions. Now remember that this is a red, white, and blue painting, so I also want to make sure that you're not only doing tints of red, but that somewhere in there you also put a nice solid red as well, because we want it to look really good for Veterans Day. Okay, so I've finished with my tints of red. Now I'm ready to mix my shades of red. Since I've already gotten this well dirty, I'll just pretty much use that one. Let me go ahead and use my paper towel to kind of clean this out a little bit. Get most of it out of there. And now I need to wash out my brush. And when you're washing out your brush, really kind of scrub the bottom of the cup with your brush and swirl it around. Don't just swirl it around in the top, really scrub the bottom. You can actually probably hear how I'm just scrubbing the bottom of that, because you want to get all of that paint out. And after you've scrubbed all of it out, you're going to use your paper towel to squeeze all of the water out of the brush so that there's no water on the brush at all. And now you're ready to start mixing some more colors. Alright, now I'm ready for my shades of red. This time you kind of have to do it in reverse. This time I'm going to start with a lot of red. Picked up a whole glob with my paintbrush. And to it I'm going to add just a tiny bit of black. This black is a really strong color, and it's going to turn that red really dark really quickly. So that's why you want to use the tiniest bit that you can. If you accidentally pick up too much, then you can just dab it off, just like I did over here, and get a little bit off of your brush. And now we mix it around, and as you can see, it turns a really, really dark shade of red. Still has a color of red to it, and when I paint it on here, you can see it's almost like a dark maroon. And if I wanted it to be a little bit brighter than that, I can add more red to it. If I still want it to be dark, but I want it to be more like a blood red, I can just keep adding more red to it until I get a little bit more of the blood red color that I want. Okay? So a very slight difference, but you can see the difference between our tints of red, which are lighter, and our shades of red, which are darker. Alright, let's do the same thing to our blue. Cleaning out my brush over here, squeezing all the water out of the bristles, and now I'm ready to start mixing my tints and shades of blue. So I'll start with my tints again, get a lot of white, put it in my other empty well, and then just a little bit of blue added to it. And that'll give us a nice light baby blue color. And if I want it to be darker, just keep on adding blue to it to create a darker shade or tint of blue. I'll move my paper up a little bit so we've got room for our darker shades. Alright, just like I did before, I'm going to use my paper towel, try to scoop out some of those lighter colors, clean out my paintbrush again, and of course you'll notice that the colors of the water starts to change. Alright, dry off, and notice that I'm using the same paper towel. If you're really careful with it and just keep folding the paper towel over and over, you can use the same one to clean out your wells as well as mix your colors. So once again, when I'm doing shades, start with a really big clump of blue. And to it, we're going to add just a tiny, tiny bit of black. You can probably barely see the difference there between my black and my blue, because blue is already a pretty dark color. And then when I paint it on here, you can see that I've got a nice, pretty midnight blue. And if I want it to be a little bit brighter, I can try adding a little bit of white or a little bit of blue to it. And then just for the heck of it, because this is experimentation, let's add a little touch of white and see how that brightens my color up, or if it does. Might give us a nice shade of blue. See what that looks like on our paper. And not a whole lot different. Let me try a little bit more white. Because I want to still kind of have a muted blue, but I want it to be a little bit of a different color than the regular blue is. And the good thing about paint is that if you don't like a color, you can always paint over it. It might be kind of hard to see that with the glare. But there you have it, tints and shades of red and blue. How to mix the colors and how to keep your palette nice and clean so that at the end of the class we can clean out the wells that we already mixed in and leave the other colors where they are so that all my other classes can use the fresh white, the fresh black, fresh blue, and fresh red.